Mike is unlike any other human being I've ever met. Most of you would say the same. He is one of the most thoughtful, loving, generous, humble, and patient individuals. He never held a grudge, and he would help even the most insincere of people, because that's who he was. He was dedicated, devoted to family, friends, and colleagues. I remember when he was hired at Moog. That first week, he came home with a plastic 3D rendering of a servo valve. He laid in bed that night, studying it, all its complexities and the tunnels and the grooves. And when I asked why he brought this thing home, he said, because I need to be the best I can be for Moog. I need to know all these parts. And then he proceeded to go into engineering geek out mode, explaining to me all the intricacies of this thing. He was so excited about life and about the work that he did. That was Mike. He always wanted to be his best for everyone. Mike had a way of making people laugh, making people smile. He would pull goofy pranks at work. He collaborated with me and my siblings to get our parents very surprising Christmas gifts, even when they didn't want them. We never listened. He would go out of his way to make sure his mother relaxed and took time off, because she never does. He became giddy at the idea of smoking a turkey for our families, literally having his week made when he'd find a new and amazing pizza place. He'd get excited when we'd go cycling together, discovering new paths and scenery right outside our back door, or creating memories with his friends. It was always so important that he spend time with them, racing, drifting cars, hiking, mountain biking, or going to rallies, which I have been very privileged to be a part of, and pretty much the only girl of their boys' weekends. Mike just had a way of making life better, making it special, even in the ordinary things. One year at Christmas, while we were visiting my folks, he very excitedly got up and made me promise not to go downstairs. I obliged, but curiously wondered what was going on. At this point in our relationship, we were very serious. I had moved to Buffalo, but we were not yet living together. For the briefest of moments, I thought he was going to propose. Eventually, he came to get me, and instead of going to open presents, we ended up going to open our stockings first, which we always did last. Afterward, everybody else went into the other room, and I was told to wait. He covered my eyes, walked me to the tree, and when I opened them, there was this beautiful telescope up together next to the tree with a big red ribbon on it. I cried my eyes out. It was the greatest gift. Why? Because just a few months before, I had told him how I wanted a telescope because I had the best viewing skies from my apartment in East Aurora. I'm a bit of an astronomy geek. The gift was not a ring. It was even better. That's the thing about Mike. It was all the little things that he did and that we did for each other. A surprise 30th birthday party, because he had never had one. A written poem just to tell him how I felt, just because. A Moog NASA mug, coffee mug that he got me one year. Or flowers on a random Tuesday, just to make me smile. We've even had this tradition of cutting our own tree at Christmas time. And a few years back, Mike added to our tradition, cutting the bottom of the trunk before we would take it to the curb to make an ornament for the next year. He'd carved the date and the type of tree it was, and each year we'd have these preserved wood ornaments from past Christmas trees. It was the little things that mattered. However, there was a time, about 4 months after Mike and I started dating, that he broke things off. Basically, he dumped me. And at the time, he said it was because he didn't expect to get so serious with someone in that moment. And he had had some really lousy relationships, and he just wanted to do his own thing. We laughed at this story often, but at the time I was devastated. I myself had gone through some very lousy relationships, and I really had to do a lot of soul searching to figure out who I was before I met Mike. When Mike broke things off, I again had to do a lot of soul searching. And at one point, I went to my parish church in Rochester, where I was living at the time, to speak with the priest. Father Kennedy sat me down in the back room and patiently listened while I elucidated my entire life story and why this guy meant so much to me, even though I had not yet admitted to myself what he meant. When I was finished, Father Kennedy said this: "Shannon, my dear, this is a season of patient waiting. God has a plan, and you have to be patient for that plan to unfold. Trust this season and what it means." That season was the holiday season, and it was November. By Christmas, we were back together. 5.5 years later, we were married by Father Kennedy in that very church 3 days before Christmas. God had asked me to be patient. I was. And I married the love of my life. I always said of that time that God brought us together because he knew we were ready to finally meet. God made me for Mike, and he made Mike for me. I was meant to be with him because God knew what was coming, even though we didn't. People have asked how we do it after almost 19 years together, having the relationship that we do and we did. And I say, it's because I love the person that Mike is outside of us as a couple. I love him as a whole person. I love his soul. Nothing exemplifies this more than recently when we struggled to have children and decided to adopt. I secretly worried that he would harbor resentment toward me. We both so desperately wanted to be parents, but I worried he would be upset because I was struggling to conceive. After our third miscarriage, I said to him one day, "Babe, I'm so sorry. I don't understand why this is happening." He looked at me, held my hand, kissed me, and said, "I didn't marry you or fall in love with you so I could be a father. I married you because you bring out the best version of me, because I love the person you are, because you are my soulmate." He saw me. He saw the real me, the me that not many people know. I didn't need to always be dressed up. I didn't have to have on makeup. Actually, he preferred when I didn't. He'd be happy today. I didn't need to be perfect or act perfect. He saw a part of my soul that I didn't even fully understand until I met him. We have had a love like no other. After all these years, he still amazed me, was still teaching me what real love, true love, looks like. We are now full circle, again in a season of patient waiting. Just as God solidified our relationship all those years ago, he has taken Mike home during the same season. Mike has left an indelible mark on all of us, enriching many of our lives because he was in it. I became a better version of myself because of him. We were better versions together as one. A part of me is gone. Once again, I'm being asked to patiently wait to be reunited with him once again and to figure out my life without him, which is something I can't even begin to imagine. As strong as I may seem, I have no idea how to figure this out. We will never again have another Christmas together. I will never hold his hand. We will never dance in our kitchen. I'll never be able to watch you wrench on your car covered in grease. I will miss watching you get ready for work every day, and then come home to tell me how your day was as I cook dinner. We will never go for walks and dream of our future and the children that we would have. You made me a better person. You have all of me, even after death. As all of you get ready to give thanks this holiday season, remember that it's a time of patient waiting out this new normal, being patient and understanding with each other as everyone continues to navigate uncertain times. Because while it can be overwhelming and scary and annoying, in the end, many of you have the ones you love around you, virtually or otherwise. Cherish your spouse, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. What you have right now is time. You've been given the gift of time. Time to make memories, time to hold your children close, time to be patient and grateful. And while traditions may look different this year, that doesn't mean they aren't special. Love is so precious. And while the love of my life has been taken from me far too soon, if he were here right now, he'd say, be patient. What's the rush getting back to what was? We have each other, and nothing else matters. That was us. No matter how hard things seemed at times, we look at each other and say, we've got each other. We'll figure the rest out. Babe, you are a part of me always, and I miss you so very much.